You won't believe what Paris Olympic officials discovered after draining this canal. Bodies of water conceal many secrets, from lost items to entire villages from centuries past. When the water levels drop, these secrets often come to light. From carvings of human faces to an old swamp boat, here are 20 mysterious discoveries found under dried-up bodies of water. Number 20. One 80-million-year-old sea dragon. In January 2021, researchers discovered something unexpected in the Rutland Water Nature Reserve in the East Midlands, England. Initially, the lagoon was drained for the conservation team to do some landscaping. While working, they stumbled upon what they thought were large pipes. However, these pipes turned out to be the vertebrae of an ichthyosaur, a creature resembling something between a modern dolphin and a fierce crocodile. The ichthyosaur was among the most mysterious creatures that roamed our oceans, earning the nickname sea dragon. The discovery came as a shock to many, including the paleontologists who were called to the scene. The said creature measured about 10 meters long, or about 33 feet, with its skull weighing approximately a ton. Its size alone makes it a spectacular example of prehistoric life. What's more, its level of preservation was also remarkable. It was so well preserved that its remains include not just the bones but also outlines of the skin, giving us a chance to see what the creature looked like when it roamed the ancient seas. At that time, the ichthyosaur was among the top predators, ruling the ocean with their sleek bodies and conical teeth that were perfectly designed for catching squid and fish. Number 19. Human face carvings. In 2023, many countries around the globe experienced unprecedented drought. Several countries recorded new all-time lows in water levels, with lakes and rivers across continents receding at an alarming rate. Among the countries that were affected was Brazil, a nation that relies on the winding Amazon River. With the rivers dropped to record lows, local wildlife was affected, and some communities that rely on the river's blessings had to resort to other ways to get water. Yet, it seemed like desperation wasn't the only thing that the drought brought. It also revealed secrets hiding beneath the Amazon waters for over 2,000 years. Researchers discovered ancient faces in a part of the Amazon known as Ponto das Lajes, or Place of Slabs. These carvings, known locally as petroglyphs, are thought to have been created by indigenous tribes hundreds, if not thousands, of years ago. With the petroglyphs becoming more and more visible, archaeologists were given a chance to study the settlers that stayed close to the Amazon thousands, even millions of years ago. While archaeologists celebrated the emergence of these petroglyphs, over 633,000 people were affected by the severe drought, with 59 out of 62 municipalities being placed under a state of emergency. Number 18. Centuries-old town. Recently, Southeast Asia has been experiencing severe heat waves, with countries like India, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines seeing dangerous and record-smashing heat waves. Along with class suspensions, the spike in heat-related illnesses, and the collapse of power grids are the receding water levels across the region. As the waters reach all-time lows, however, secrets that have been hidden begin revealing themselves. One of the most notable is the remnants of a once vibrant community with deep historical roots dating back 300 years ago. This discovery was found in the heart of Nueva Ecija, Philippines, in the depths of the Pantabangan Dam. This community was submerged in 1973 to facilitate the dam's construction, and as years passed by, the area became known for the reservoir instead of the town that once stood there. This recent emergence marks only the fourth occasion the old town has been visible since its submersion, with previous appearances also coinciding with periods of intense drought during El Niño years. Despite the nostalgia brought by the re-emergence of the town, locals recognize the importance of the dam. After all, the Pantabangan Dam is the second largest in Asia and plays a crucial role in the region by generating hydroelectric power and providing irrigation to vast agricultural lands. For the locals, the 300-year-old town of Pantabangan was a necessary sacrifice for the betterment of the region. Number 17. Lake Tapps. Lake Tapps in Washington is one of the most historical bodies of water in the state. Originally, Lake Tapps was constructed as a Puget Sound energy power generation project, but when it stopped producing power in 2009, its ownership was transferred to the Cascade Water Alliance. In 2015, it was drained for maintenance, and what people found within its depths was quite unexpected. The remains of a forgotten forest were discovered, with dead tree trunks still rising from within the ground. Along with the underwater forest were the remains of a train trestle initially constructed in 1910. It's quite eerie to see what was truly lying beneath the lake's waters. Number 16. Important phone. Usually, when you drop something in a body of water, it's as good as gone. But I guess if you have special privileges, you can easily try to find a way to retrieve whatever you dropped in the water, like say, drain an entire reservoir. No, I'm not even joking. This occurred in Kankar district in India in 2023. That's pretty recent, so perhaps some of you guys have already heard about this incident. For those who haven't yet, this is how it unfolded. That year, Rajesh Vishwas, a 32-year-old food inspector of Chhattisgarh's Kankar district, dropped his brand new Samsung Galaxy S23 in a reservoir. Initially, he sought the help of local divers to retrieve the phone, but when this failed, he resorted to using a diesel pump to drain the reservoir. Yes, you heard that right. Over the span of 3 days, millions of liters of water were pumped out, which under normal circumstances would have been enough to irrigate about 1,500 acres of farmland during a scorching Indian summer. Naturally, this caused many residents to become upset. The local authorities were quick to respond, resulting in Vishwa's suspension for misusing his official position and for the unauthorized act of draining the dam. This action was deemed illegal under local laws and led to a penalty for Vishwas. Like, come on. I know phones these days cost an arm and a leg, but I don't think that warrants destroying the livelihood of people and the local environment. This incident makes you wonder just what exactly was stored in that phone. Number 15. Goliath the giant tadpole. Tadpoles are usually between 1.3 to 4.2 inches, with that being their average size. Imagine experts' surprise when they discovered Goliath, now known as the largest tadpole we've ever found. This creature is so large that you wouldn't even think it's a tadpole at first glance. Discovered in 2018 in the Chiricahua Mountains of Arizona, in a pond that was about to dry up, Goliath almost looks like a fish with a staggering size of 10.1 inches, over 2 times larger than the largest tadpoles. For better comparison, imagine a tadpole the size of a soda can. But that's not the only thing that makes Goliath bizarre. You see, tadpoles undergo metamorphosis to become frogs. That's basic science we've learned about the life cycle of frogs as early as grade school. And yet, Goliath defied the usual cycle followed by frogs. You see, Goliath remained the same. When researchers expected the tadpole to turn into a frog, he remained the same. Researchers theorized that perhaps a hormonal imbalance may have prevented him from undergoing this transformation. He lived out his days at the Southwestern Research Station, where scientists studied him further to understand the peculiarities of his condition. It's still astounding that despite being a tadpole and never advancing to its next stage in life, Goliath still lived until 2019. Number 14. Lost Italian Village. Deep in Lake Regia lies the Italian Atlantis, the village of Curon. The ruins of this settlement lie at the foot of the Alps, where Italy meets Austria and Switzerland. Curon was once the home to nearly 900 residents in 160 homes, and yet it was intentionally flooded in 1950 to create a hydroelectric plant, merging 2 lakes into what is now known as Lake Regia. Seeing photos of this village, it's quite hard to believe that it's beneath the lake. For years, the only visible sign of Curon's existence was the 14th-century bell tower of St. Catherine's Church protruding from the lake. For many, it was a painful reminder of how their homes were reduced to a flooded ruin. However, many have continued visiting this church thanks to the scenic landscape surrounding it and its historical significance. In 2022, however, the phantom of the village of Curon reemerged as a significant drought hit the nation, with much of the village being exposed once more. Visitors and locals scrambled to visit the foundations, stone steps, and remnants of what was once a thriving community. Shortly after, the nation recovered from the drought, and the water again engulfed Curon for perhaps another few decades. Number 13. Spanish Stonehenge. Among the countries affected by the brutal summer of 2022 was Spain. Cáceres, in particular, saw an unexpected side effect of the country's worst drought in decades: a prehistoric stone circle beneath the depths of the Valdecañas Reservoir. Officially named the Dolmen of Guadalperal, this prehistoric stone circle consists of about 150 megaliths. It dates back to the 4th and 5th millennia BCE, potentially making it thousands of years older than its famous British counterpart. Now, despite renewed public interest, the Spanish Stonehenge was first discovered by German archaeologist Hugo Obermeier in 1926. Thinking there'd be more time to study the dolmens, it was largely left alone by experts. Unfortunately, in 1963, dictator Francisco Franco ordered the area to be flooded to give way to a rural development project. The establishment of the reservoir entirely hid the Spanish Stonehenge, and ever since, it has only shown itself several times on rare occasions when the water levels recede. Its appearance in 2022 got archaeologists scrambling to study the dolmens. Local stakeholders, including tourism operators and historical associations, have been encouraged by the resurgence of interest in the site, prompting calls to relocate the stones to preserve them and make them more accessible for educational and cultural purposes. Unfortunately, the risk of destroying the dolmens is far more pressing, and so the Spanish Stonehenge was left alone, destined to be submerged in its watery grave once again. Number 12. A sewer monster. Have you ever wondered just what's lurking in sewers? Probably not. There shouldn't be anything interesting down there, right? Sewer engineers discovered otherwise in 2021. They captured this video while doing a routine survey in a sewer. Observe. Did you see it? Let's watch that again one more time. As you can see, not far in the distance was a bizarre creature that didn't look like any animal we know. So then, what was it? What creature could survive in the sewers that resembled a cryptid? Any theories? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Number 11. Hunger stones. It seems that people in the 15th through 19th centuries were fond of leaving behind all sorts of marks. One of the most unexpected is the hunger stones. Hunger stones are found primarily along the river Elbe that flows through the Czech Republic and Germany. These stones date back centuries, with the oldest legible inscriptions from the early 1600s. Now, what exactly are these stones? These stones are ordinary rocks carved by people centuries ago, particularly to warn others about drought. Hunger stones usually contain short messages and phrases like, "If you see me, weep." Quite horrifying and alarming, don't you think? These messages are only carved in stones visible when water levels go dangerously low. While we have modern ways to combat famine, and although we've developed ways to produce crops despite drought and heat waves, these hunger stones still show us how chilling it is when nature shows its unforgiving self. Number 10. Lake Tower. Lake Regia, nestled in the South Tyrol region of Italy, is an artificial lake created in the 1950s. As you might have already guessed, the creation of this artificial lake led to the flooding of a settlement, particularly the village of Gran, including its historic 14th century church. The story of Lake Regia began in 1939 when the Montecatini Company planned to unify two natural lakes, Regia and Mitter, into a deeper lake to generate hydroelectric power. This project was met with strong resistance from the local community as it meant the submergence of cultivated lands and homes. Despite protests, the plan proceeded, and in 1950, the villages of Gran and parts of Reschen were flooded, displacing many families and submerging 163 houses and 523 hectares of cultivated land. For a long time, the only visible reminder of the village that once thrived here is the church's steeple, which juts out of the lake's surface and becomes accessible by foot when the lake freezes over in winter. In 2021, however, the ruins once again appeared completely due to maintenance work that required the drainage of the lake. For the first time in decades, the locals saw the village ruins again. Number 9. Ancient Buddhist statue in China. In the summer of 2022, the relentless heat and severe drought affected the Yangtze River, the longest river in Eurasia and the third longest in the world. This body of water, spanning about 3,950 miles, is also known as the longest river in the world to flow entirely within one country. Yet, that year's immense heat reduced the Yangtze water level drastically to a level that alarmed the nation. As the world watched on, however, an unexpected discovery arose from within the Yangtze. 3 600-year-old Buddhist statues previously submerged, particularly on the Foiliang Island reef. Experts believe these statues date back to the late Ming and early Qing dynasties and have been submerged for centuries, only revealing themselves whenever the water levels permitted. One of these statues strikingly depicts a monk meditating serenely upon a lotus petal, a powerful symbol in Buddhism, one of the three main philosophies and religions of ancient China. Although alarmed, countless citizens traveled to the exposed Buddha statues to pay their respects, with many believing that the elusive statues have brought blessings along with them. This unexpected discovery wasn't simply a significant archaeological and historical find, but temporarily, it served as a symbol of hope for many in the nation during the extreme drought. Number 8. Neros Bridge. Now, before I get into this next bizarre discovery, let's talk about Nero. Yes, the most infamous emperor of Rome. Nero is known as one of the nastiest rulers of Rome, but modern historians suggest that much of the crazy acts attributed to him stem mostly from exaggeration or are completely fabricated. So, he wasn't really as evil as he was depicted. Was he a good person? Not really, no, but he wasn't as crazy and bloodthirsty as some records suggest. Today, Nero is still remembered for his immense constructions and the infamous fire that ravaged Rome. I guess with a lot of power, you can get away with a lot of things, leading you into a rabbit hole of immorality. One of the less problematic things Nero ordered to create was a small bridge that once connected the bustling roads of Rome. Historically, this bridge may have played a role in both civilian and military movements, possibly even in religious processions. For centuries, this bridge has been submerged in water, only becoming visible because of the severe drought that hit Rome, Italy, in 2022, the worst drought the nation has faced in 70 years. Unfortunately, historians today claim that once again, this bridge was poorly built, not because of the materials used or its general structure, but because of how badly it was placed. You see, this bridge was for some reason built on a tight bend in a floodplain, making it vulnerable to the river. Over time, the Tiber's shifting currents likely led to the bridge's deterioration and eventual disuse by the 3rd century. Number 7. Temple of Santiago. In 2023, locals in Mexico were baffled when the Temple of Santiago became fully exposed. Also known as the Temple of Quechua, this structure has been submerged since 1966 following the reservoir's completion to give way to the Malpaso Dam. Originally, this church was constructed under the guidance of Dominican monks led by Friar Bartolomé de las Casas in 1564. It was meant to be a place of worship for the bustling settlements surrounding it. However, plagued by misfortunes, including disease and the eventual abandonment of the area, it never reached the population boom its founders envisioned. Its architectural splendor, including walls that soar up to 30 feet and a bell tower stretching 48 feet high, soon fell into ruins. Since it was flooded, the structure re-emerged several times, including in 2002 and 2015, both times caused by severe drought. The church attracts many tourists and curious locals, but each time the church re-emerges, fishermen and farmers are left wondering about their survival, with many relying on the reservoir's waters. Number 6. Wong Bua Yay Temple. In 2019, Thailand faced one of the worst droughts in a decade. However, this drought showed them an unexpected discovery that was seen as a silver lining by many locals, a hidden Buddhist temple that was left submerged for over 2 decades. Located in Lopburi province, this temple has been submerged since 1999 to give way to a dam's construction. However, that year, the reservoir was brought down to a mere 3% of its overall capacity, which exposed this unexpected spectacle. Naturally, many began flocking to the once submerged temple to pay their respects. Among these visitors are former residents who reminisced about their past homes. Monastics and lay Buddhists also came to pay respects, particularly to a headless Buddha statue adorned with robes and other holy objects. This statue, along with stone pillars, shrines, and elephant sculptures, gave hope to the locals as the drought continued to affect the nation. Number 5. Brain-eating amoeba. Have you heard about the brain-eating amoeba? Surely, this will deter you from exploring shallow and warm waters, especially during the summer. You see, with the presence of this organism, a simple trip down to the lake could pretty much mark the end of your life. Also known as Nigleria fowleri, the brain-eating amoeba is a single-celled organism that thrives in warm freshwater environments and soil, often finding an ideal habitat in bodies of warm water such as lakes, rivers, and inadequately maintained swimming pools. Before I tell you anything else, let me clarify that being affected by this organism is incredibly rare, with an incredibly small number of reported infections. However, it's mostly fatal and only 4 out of 157 people have survived. So, how does this horrifying organism affect a person? First, water has to get into your nose. If by chance water carrying the brain-eating amoeba enters your nostrils, there's a chance for this organism to migrate to your brain, where it would cause primary amoebic meningoencephalitis, leading to the destruction of brain tissue. This condition progresses rapidly, and symptoms escalate from mild headaches and fever to severe neurological issues like seizures and hallucinations, often resulting in death within about 5 days after symptoms begin. Most people who experience symptoms of this infection dismiss it as a common cold or flu, and by the time they experience more severe symptoms, it's already too late. Again, this amoeba has adapted to thrive at high temperatures, up to 46 degrees Celsius or around 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Cases are extremely rare, but hey, if you've seen a rise in temperature, you might not want to take your chances in shallow and receding bodies of water. Number 4. Kemyun. In 2022, extreme drought in Iraq allowed archaeologists to excavate and study a 3,400-year-old lost city hidden by the waters of the country's largest reservoir, the Mosul Dam. This ancient city, believed to have been part of the Mitanni Empire that thrived from 1550 to 1350 BCE, was revealed as water levels in various bodies of water in the country dropped dramatically. Known as Kemyun, this archaeological site was significant to the Mitanni Empire's heart in northeastern Syria. Here, archaeologists discovered monumental structures such as a palace, a massive fort, and an industrial complex. The structures, built predominantly from sun-dried mud bricks, have withstood the test of time, with fortification walls still standing several meters high. This site also yielded a significant archival discovery, over 100 cuneiform tablets sealed in clay envelopes that are still being studied to this day. Despite the waters reclaiming the ruins once more, archaeologists now have enough records to study until Kemyun resurfaces. Number 3. Lost wedding ring. In 2018, Steve What's lost something incredibly precious in Marine Lake in Clevedon. By precious, I mean it's an item that even the least sentimental person would treasure, an engagement ring. So, imagine his despair when he accidentally dropped the ring into the lake. For What's, the ring was as good as gone. Yet, 2 months later, the lake was drained out for its annual cleaning. Now, even then, there was no guarantee that the ring would be discovered. After all, Marine Lake is 15,000 square meters. Imagine finding a tiny ring in that large expanse. Luckily, it seemed like fate was working in What's favor as one of the volunteers got the 1-in-a-million chance to pick up the ring in the thousands of square meters of lake bed. The volunteers, who were relatively young, handed the ring to What's without asking for anything in return. Well, those lads were definitely good ones. Number 2. Intact World War II bomb. In the summer of 2022, on July 25th, fishermen in the receding water of River discovered something unexpected. That year, the nation faced the worst drought it had in 70 years, and the water levels led to quite a scary encounter for the locals of the village of Borgo Virgilio. While scouring the receding waters, anglers discovered a U.S.-manufactured bomb that was approximately 1,000 pounds and still equipped with about 530 pounds of explosives. Approximately 3,000 residents in the surrounding areas were evacuated to ensure safety as military experts and bomb disposal engineers embarked on the high-stakes task of defusing and safely detonating the ordnance. Just to be sure, local air traffic was also halted, and nearby roads, railways, and the river itself were closed. The bomb was ultimately transported to a quarry approximately 45 kilometers away, where a controlled detonation was successfully executed. Now, did you know that there are still a lot of undetonated bombs across the globe, particularly in Europe? Germany is a notable example, dealing with thousands of tons of unexploded ordnance. While they most likely won't detonate unless disturbed, that doesn't eliminate the risk they pose. You see, as they age, the metal casings corrode, and the fuses degrade, making them more unstable and sensitive over time. This means it'll be more challenging to defuse them if they're discovered. That's why each time a bomb or anything that resembles it is found in drained bodies of water, it's treated as a serious and urgent threat. Now it's time for today's topic. Paris Olympic officials drained this canal after swimmers' warning. What they found is astonishing. As the 2024 Paris Olympics approached, preparations were in full swing. The city's historic Saint-Martin Canal, a picturesque location often used for recreational swimming, was a focal point. However, an alarming incident changed everything. A seasoned swimmer reported feeling something unusual brushing against his leg during a practice session. The Olympic officials, concerned about the safety of the athletes, decided to drain the canal for the first time in decades. The operation attracted curious onlookers, locals, and media. As the water level dropped, the muddy bottom of the canal began to reveal its secrets. To everyone's astonishment, the first clear sight was an enormous, ancient sword partially buried in the silt. It was not just any sword. Its intricate design and massive size suggested it belonged to a warrior of significant importance, possibly dating back to medieval times. The discoveries didn't end there. As the water receded further, more astonishing relics emerged. Pieces of what appeared to be a full suit of armor, coins from various historical periods, and ancient pottery shards lay scattered across the canal bed. Each item hinted at a rich tapestry of history hidden beneath the waters of Paris. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. As the excavation continued, the skeletal remains of several individuals began to appear. These skeletons, intertwined with the artifacts, told a grim story of conflict and tragedy. Some were still clad in remnants of armor, suggesting they were warriors who met a violent end. Others appeared to be civilians, their bones lying alongside household items and personal belongings. Archaeologists were called in, and their preliminary analysis suggested the canal had been a dumping ground for valuables and victims during periods of conflict, possibly dating back to the French Revolution. The massive sword, they speculated, could belong to a legendary knight whose exploits had faded into myth. The draining of the Saint-Martin Canal had inadvertently unearthed a treasure trove of historical artifacts and human remains, adding a layer of mystery and excitement to the 2024 Paris Olympics. The city, already steeped in history, now had another chapter to add to its storied past, captivating the world with its newfound secrets. Number 1. World War II Swamp Boat. For our last discovery, here's another unexpected find that revealed itself amidst the drought that hit many countries in 2022. That year, the drought-stricken Lake Mead revealed a reminder of the Second World War, a Higgins landing craft. This boat, which once roamed the vast waters carrying troops or tanks, has emerged from its watery grave. Built by Higgins Industries in New Orleans, These boats were crucial during the D-Day landings at Normandy in 1944. The specific ship found near Lake Mead Marina served a variety of purposes over the years, including surveying the Colorado River before finally being sunk in its prime. However, this vessel could easily carry a 36-man platoon or a jeep and a 12-man squad at a reliable speed of up to 12 knots or 13.8 miles per hour. However, this swamp boat wasn't the only thing that revealed itself from Lake Mead's waters. Other sunken ships and human corpses were also discovered in its waters. Horrifying, right? So what do you think about these discoveries? Perhaps you know of other things discovered in drained bodies of water. If so, feel free to share them in the comments down below. Also, check out other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.